Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 213, The Princess Bride, which is an adventure family fantasy film from 1987. It has an 8.1 on 351,880 votes. The spoiler-free synopsis: a fairy tale adventure about a beautiful young woman and her one true love. He must find her after a long separation and save her. They must battle the evils of the mythical kingdom of Florin to be reunited with each other. It's based on William Goldman's novel The Princess Bride, which earned its own loyal audience.
Oh, God. I love this movie. Anyways, so this is directed by Rob Reiner, who also directed the movies When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men. That's just a few of them. And it stars Carrie Elwes, Mandy Patinkin, God, sorry Mandy, and Chris Sheridan. Those are the first three.
All right.
Even though it's got a huge cast.
Yeah, it does. So the Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes. Metacritic rating is a 77. The average rating on Rotten Tomatoes is an 8.3. It's 97% on the tomato meter. 71 critics reviewed it, 69 fresh, and 2 rotten. So 2 of the fresh. Richard Corliss. As you watch this enchanting fantasy, feel free to be thrilled or to giggle as you wish.
Huh. It's like using a line from the movie. Excellent.
I literally just picked that one because of that.
Very nice.
Derek Malcolm. The Princess Bride easily transcends expectations as a fantasy that has few pertinent things to say about the genre, including the odd fact that the heroes of such things are often prettier than the heroines. You say that Wesley is prettier than Buttercup.
Well, I mean, Wesley's pretty hot, so, yeah. I mean.
Yeah. I just think that's funny. So, 2 rotten. Variety staff. Based on William Goldman's novel, this is a postmodern fairy tale that challenges and affirms the conventions of a genre that may not be flexible enough to support such horseplay. It's a fairy tale!
I'm like, does Variety staff not like anything? Because we keep getting a bunch of rotten things.
I think they've had 2 or 3 good ones that I've found.
And they hate everything else. Man, these people are so negative. Maybe they should listen to the song Put on a Happy Face.
Jeff Andrew. The leads are vacuous. The absurdities sometimes forced and obvious. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment because I'll go off.
So, the consensus: a delightfully postmodern fairy tale, The Princess Bride is a deft, intelligent mix of swashbuckling, romance, and comedy that takes an age-old damsel in distress story and makes it fresh. Completely
agree.
Yeah. So the income. The budget was $16 million. In the U.S., it made $30,857,814. Its opening weekend, it made $4,480,140. It had a limited release first, and then it had a wider release. So its limited release was in 622 theaters, and then it opened in more theaters. The all-time domestic rank is 2,629. Its highest all-time rank, it hit in December 22nd, 1987, which was about 2 months after it came out. It hit number 338. So the awards, it was nominated for 1 Oscar, but it did not win.
That's for original song.
Oh, yeah, okay. It won 7 other awards and had 9 nominations. The Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, Best Fantasy and Best Costumes. The Heartland film, Truly Moving Picture Award. The director won that. The Hugo Awards, Best Dramatic Presentation. National Film Preservation Board, it is on the registry. It was put there in 2016. So, yeah, a little bit less than 20 years after, 30 years after it came out. Toronto International Film Festival. The director won the People's Choice Awards for that. And then the Young Artists Awards, Best Young Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Fred Savage.
How is this a drama?
I don't know, because it's not on IMDb classified under a drama, but I guess in that one, they didn't have anywhere else to put it, maybe?
I guess, but it's not really a drama. Alright.
Yeah, I don't know. So what did you think the first time you saw it?
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen it, like, the first time. I remember I absolutely fell in love with it, and nothing's changed. It's, like, one of my top favorite movies. I think, like, top 5. Yeah. And I've watched it, like, all the time. I can quote, like, this entire movie.
I believe it.
Literally. Literally. I can. I've pissed off Logan enough that he doesn't want to watch it anymore. Because I've watched it so many times around him.
My mom, I remember when I was little and I don't remember the first time I watched it, but I remember when I was little and we used to watch this. My mom hated it when we watched it because she didn't like Vincini saying inconceivable. So she hated this movie. But I liked it. But watched it with my dad a lot.
That makes sense. Knowing your dad, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, he likes this movie a lot. But yeah, I don't really remember the first time I watched it. It's good though. I enjoy it, so. And it's not too long of a movie either.
It's just, I think, the right amount.
Yeah. Just a little bit over an hour and a half.
It's a good length, especially for kids.
Yeah.
Because their attention span's really short.
Yeah. So, I think that's all we've got for initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So, we start with the kid coughing.
Yes.
And then we see this video game. It's a baseball video game.
Yeah. It's a really old one. You can tell it's the 80s.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, video games have come a long way.
It's a very 8-bit.
So then a mom comes in and she says that Grandpa's here. And the boy's like, I don't want Grandpa to be here. He's like, I'm sick.
Was it because he says he always pinches my cheeks?
Yeah. So Grandpa comes in, pinches his cheek, and gives him a book as a gift. And he's like, I don't want a book. And then Grandpa's like, well, I'm going to read it to you. And he's like, well, has it got any sports in it? Because he's wearing a Bears jersey, and he's playing a baseball game. His room's got a bunch of stuff from sports and everything.
Tell it's like a Chicago area.
Yeah. So he tells him it's got all, like, it's got sports, it's got
Swordplay.
love, like, it's just kind of giving a general overview of it without revealing anything.
Yes.
But not really doing a synopsis either. Just kind of like, it's got this and this and this and this and this. This kind of thing. So the story is about a girl named Buttercup. She lives on a farm, and she has this farm boy, and his name was Wesley, but she never called him Wesley. She always called him Farm Boy. She loved to give him orders pretty much, because he worked for her.
Yeah, she just bossed him around, and he just didn't say much. He just said, as you wish.
Yeah.
Every time, with those beautiful eyes of his.
Yeah. But so he he is in love with her, and she realizes that she is in love with him. But he realizes that he doesn't have enough money to put on a wedding to marry her, so he goes off to make money and says he's going to come back for her. But then she hears that he was killed.
Attacked by the dread pirate Robert.
Yes. And so she is very distraught and upset and doesn't really care about anything anymore.
Yeah, just locks herself away. She's like, I'm done.
Yeah. But then there is a prince who finds her because she's like the loveliest in the land, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so he wants to marry her.
And he technically can do that because he's prince.
Yeah.
He can pick whoever he wants.
Yeah, so he's going to marry her, and his name is Prince Humperdinck.
I have always loved his name.
Yeah.
Always. Because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. But so, a few days, I guess, before her wedding, I think it's like maybe a couple weeks.
I think it's a couple weeks.
Couple weeks before her wedding to Prince Humperdinck, she gets kidnapped by a Sicilian named Vizzini, a Spaniard named Inigo Montoya, and a giant named Fezzik.
Giant. Yeah.
And they were hired to kill her to start a war and make it seem like the country across the way is the ones that like abducted her and killed her. But it doesn't say who they were hired by.
No.
So they're taking her and they're going across this like little ocean. It's not a big ocean, it's just a little one.
No. It's little.
Like a sea.
They're like talking and everything and
Yeah. And Inigo keeps looking back and thinking that they're being followed.
which they are.
Yeah. Vizzini kept saying like, no, we're not being followed. We're not being followed.
But then he sees like this boat, the eel. So when Princess, we'll call her Buttercup, that's her name. When she hears that there's a boat behind them, she jumps into the water and she starts swimming. And Vizzini is like, you're never going to survive because of the shrieking eels.
Yeah. And he says they shriek and they get louder when they get closer to their prey.
And they're going to eat her.
Yeah.
And it gets like, the music gets all tense and everything. You see like this eel, like big eel, like swimming towards her.
Yeah. And then it kind of cuts off.
Cuts back to the grandpa and the grandson.
Because the kid interrupted.
Well, grandpa talks. He's like, she doesn't get eaten.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, what? It's like, she doesn't get eaten. I'm telling you this because you look concerned.
Yeah. It's so funny just because they keep interjecting throughout the whole thing.
He just like interrupts and it's like, what? You forget that he's telling a story because you're just so caught up in it.
Yeah. So then he goes back to reading it again, and Fezzik had saved her.
Yes, he saves her.
From the eel. And then so they get to the Cliffs of Insanity. And what I want to know is, where did the rope come from? Like, did they go beforehand and put that rope there, or was it just there?
That's what I'm thinking too. That it was there, like, they put it there.
Okay. Because I was like, if it was already there when they got there, I would not trust that rope.
Yeah, I can see that.
But so, Fezzik has to carry all three of them up the sides of these cliffs. And they're still being pursued by this guy, this mysterious man in black. And Vizzini keeps thinking that he's not going to follow them up, but he does. He starts climbing up after him.
Yeah. They climb up all the way to the top, and they get all the way up there, and Vizzini starts cutting the rope.
Yeah. The guy in black catches the cliff as the rope falls, so he doesn't fall.
No, and he starts climbing up it.
Yep. And so Vizzini, Fezzik, they take Princess Buttercup, and Vizzini tells Inigo to kill the man in black. And so Inigo's kind of like pacing and waiting, like talking to him, and like, can you just hurry up, please, dude?
He's like, it's kind of hard to climb this, so you're gonna have to be patient. Yeah. He's like, you're gonna have to wait. He's like, I hate waiting.
So he just throws down a rope for him. So then they have their little, the man in black gets up to the top, and Inigo lets him rest for a minute. I was like, that's kind of nice. It's very sportsmanlike. Lets him rest. And then they start doing their little sword fighting and everything. But he like starts explaining that his dad was killed by a six-fingered man when he was 11, because the six-fingered man came to him to get his dad to make him a sword, but the six-fingered man wasn't happy with the sword, so he was only going to pay half the price he said he was going to pay, and then he killed him and then like scarred Inigo. And so Inigo had been training for years and years to be the best swordsman, so that way when he meets the six-fingered man, he can kill him.
Yes. Says the famous line, of course.
Yes. My name is Inigo Montoya. That one.
Yes, that one.
There's a long explanation that he says a ton of times.
Yes. I love it.
So yeah, they're fighting and everything, and Inigo had decided that he was going to use his left hand, like, before the man in black even got to the top of the cliff. And so he switches hands because he realizes that the man in black is actually pretty good. So he's like, oh, maybe I should use my right hand. And so he switches hands, and then the man in black starts laughing because he's not left-handed either.
No, so he switches to his right, and it's like, he's way better than him.
Yeah. And so he beats him, but he doesn't kill Inigo. He just, he lets him live. He just knocks him out. So he doesn't know which way he's going. So, Vizzini and Fezzik see that the man in black has beaten Inigo. And so Vizzini tells Fezzik, there we go, yeah, to stay and deal with him his way. And Fezzik has no idea what that means.
He's like, what's my way?
Yeah. So, Vizzini tells him, just hit him with a rock when he comes around the corner.
And he's like, but that's not very sportsmanlike.
Yeah. So when the man in black gets up there, Fezzik throws a rock near him, but he misses on purpose because he says he wants to fight him man to man, no weapons. Just to make it, like a fair battle. And I'm like, that is not a fair battle at all.
That is not really fair because, Fezzik's a giant.
So, they fight, and eventually, the man in black chokes out Fezzik. But while he's kind of on his back choking him, Fezzik is explaining that he's not used to fighting just one person anymore.
Yeah, he's like, I'm used to just fighting a bunch of people. You have to use different moves for different, for more than one person than just one.
Yeah. So then, when the man in black is done with Fezzik, he runs and catches up with Vizzini, who has set like a little picnic thing, I guess. And the man in black challenges Vizzini to a battle of wits because Vizzini thinks he's so smart.
He goes on this whole rant too. It's great.
He does. So they have a battle of wits, and the man in black takes the 2 goblets of wine and has a packet of iocane powder.
Yes, which is odorless and tasteless.
And he turns around and he pours the iocane into one of the goblets. And then he places the goblets back on the table, one in front of himself, one in front of Vizzini. And then Vizzini goes on this whole entire rant about how he knows which goblet it is.
Yes.
Like his whole entire reasoning of picking which goblet.
He's like, he's like, okay, I think I know which one. And then he tells him to turn around. He's like, what's that over there?
Yeah, he distracts him.
He switches the goblets. And then he has it. Then he tells him, okay, let's drink.
Yeah. He drinks, and Vizzini thinks he's won, and then he dies. Kills over laughing.
Was like the most comical death ever. He just laughing. Then he just like stops and just keels over.
Yeah. And then so the man in black reveals to the princess that he had been developing a tolerance to iocane powder for years, and he poisoned both goblets, so it didn't matter which one the Sicilian picked. He was gonna die anyways. She's like, you're horrible. So then they're going along, walking, and he's like kind of mad, or she's mad at him, because she's like, why don't you just kill me now?
Yeah, he's kind of gruff with her too.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's a bad guy, she thinks, so he's just playing the part. We also see that the Prince Humperdinck has been tracking them. So he's like figured out the battle between Inigo and the Man in Black, and then he saw that the Man in Black took on the giant, and he finds the Sicilian and everything.
He's tracking him.
Yeah. Princess Buttercup is saying that the prince will rescue her, and the Man in Black is accusing her of not loving him, and she's like, I don't love him.
And she's like, I never said I loved him.
And then he like kind of gets mad at her for saying that he doesn't know she doesn't know anything about love, and she's like, I loved very deeply once, and then it was ripped away from me, and I died that day, or something, somewhere along those lines. And then because she says that the Dread Pirate Roberts killed her love, and then he admits to being the Dread Pirate Roberts and says he killed her love, and then tells, like, we find out later it's kind of a fake story, like kind of true, kind of not true.
Yeah.
Because so he tells of Wesley's death,
saying how he is asking to live, and he's asked why. He's like, well, true love.
Yeah. And so they're like kind of standing at the top of a hill.
It's I love this part.
And she's mad at him because he said he killed Wesley, and so...
And he's like, well, good thing I killed him before he found out how you really are. And it's like, oh, snap.
So she pushes him down the hill and says something about, you can go die too, or something like that.
Yeah.
As he's rolling down the hill, he yells, as you wish. And so she throws herself down the hill after him.
Because she realized it's Wesley.
Yeah. Which is funny. So, they're now running together, and they're heading towards the fire swamp.
Mm-hmm. Because she sees that Prince Humperdinck had caught up to them.
Yeah, so they gotta go into the fire swamp because Wesley thinks no one can track them in the fire swamp. So, the fire swamp has a bunch of crazy stuff in it. It's got, rodents of unusual size, lightning sand, which is,
quicksand.
Yeah, quicksand. And then unpredictable, like, flame spouts. Let's just, like, shoot flame out of nowhere.
What's it called? The fire spurts or something?
Yeah, fire spurts, that's it.
And while they're going through this, and the fire things keep going off, and one gets Prince Buttercup by the dress, and he has to, take out the flame. Yeah. He's telling her about what happened, and how he actually did ask the Dread Pirate Roberts to, spare him because of, describing Buttercup and everything.
Yeah.
Which intrigued the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yeah. And it, that's how he became the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Because it's really just a name.
Yeah. He said that the real Dread Pirate Roberts has been retired for like 15 years.
It's like, it's the name that causes fear.
Yeah. So, then she gets, like, they're walking and she gets sucked down by the quicksand and he has to go save her.
Yeah.
And then they come back up and the rodents of unusual size attack him.
There's like the ROUSs. Classic.
Yeah. He's like, I don't believe in those, and then one attacks him. But so he's like fighting it off and everything, and it like bites the crap out of his shoulder.
Yeah.
And his arm, and when the fire spurts, when they're like getting ready to blast, it kind of makes this little sound. So he hears it starting to go off, and he rolls over to it and catches the rodent on fire, and then stabs it a bunch of times.
Yeah. They get out of the fire swamp finally, and who's there to meet them but Prince Humperdinck and Count Rugen?
Which Count Rugen is the six-fingered man.
He is.
As Wesley notices.
Yes, and so just to save Wesley, Buttercup says she'll go back with Prince Humperdinck.
Yeah. And so that they don't kill Wesley, because she knows that Prince Humperdinck would kill him.
Oh, yeah.
But Prince Humperdinck is a bad man, so he tells Count Rugen that as soon as him and Princess Buttercup are out of, like, the area, to take Wesley back to the Pit of Despair.
Yeah.
He sounds super excited about that.
Well, it's the Pit of Despair. I mean, come on. It's classic.
It is.
Plus, I mean, Christopher Guest, who plays Count Rugen, is just amazing.
Yeah. They do. He does a really good job.
And like, he is, if you didn't know that, Christopher Guest is also in Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't remember who he plays, but I do recognize him.
Mm. He is in there.
It's been a few since I've seen Little Shop of Horrors. You know, we've been busy watching all these movies. But so, Count Rugen enjoys torture. So he has been studying torture for a while, and he built a machine that he's going to use on Wesley, and it's in the Pit of Despair, and it's like, it sucks the life out of people.
Yeah. It causes a lot of pain, too.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of pain.
And there's an albino guy down there, and he helps Count Rugen and Prince Humperdinck and all of them to torture people. Humperdinck and Princess Buttercup are preparing for their wedding. And I think somewhere in here is kind of where we learn that, it might have been a little bit earlier, but we learn that Prince Humperdinck actually hired the guys to come kill and abduct Buttercup. And so now he's trying to figure out how to make it look like Gilder, which is the other people, are the ones who came and killed her, because he's planning on killing her on their wedding night.
And so make it look like they came in and killed her.
Yeah. But during all this planning, Buttercup's like, I can't marry Humperdinck. I just love Wesley too much.
Because she has a nightmare about it.
Yeah. Because she thinks that in her nightmare, it's like the king dies, which is Humperdinck's father. So Humperdinck becomes the king, and then she has to marry him, and she becomes the queen, and she's like coming out presented as the queen, and some old lady says, "Boo! Boo!"
just boos her. Oh, I love that. Just boos her.
It's so funny. But so she asks, after her dream, she wakes up and she goes to Prince Humperdinck and asks him to be released from her vows of like having to marry him, or she'll kill herself. And so Humperdinck's like, okay, I guess, but not really. So
No, he pretends to.
yeah, so he says that you need to write 4 letters, and I'll send my 4 fastest ships after the Dread Pirate Robert's ship for Wesley. And if he responds before we are to marry, then he truly loves you, and you don't have to marry me.
And she agrees. She's like, but he's like, but please consider me as an alternative to suicide.
Yeah. So, he didn't really send the ships.
Of course not.
So, Prince Humperdinck's like going through the motions of getting the castle ready for the wedding and getting the security beefed up and clearing the thieves' forests and everything. And Fezzik has been hired as part of the Brute Squad. And so he's supposed to go into the forest and help clear out the thieves and everything.
Yeah, and Inigo's there. And he's drunk and just rambling.
Yeah, and Fezzik finds him and takes him home and gets him all better and everything and tells him about Count Rugen.
The six-fingered man.
And so Inigo's like, oh yes, let's go. We gotta find someone who can help us.
He's like, I need the man in black. He's like, I'm not good at planning things out.
Yeah.
He's like, I can fight. I'm not good at planning.
So, back in the Pit of Despair, Count Rugen has been using the machine to suck some of Wesley's life away. I think he does a year at first, and then he ups it to like 5 years.
It's a year at first.
And then he keeps kind of going up a little bit more and a little bit more. And then Buttercup is talking to Humperdinck about, like, he's saying, we're going to have my whole fleet ready, all of my ships to take us on our honeymoon. And she's like, all but the fastest 4, right? And he's like, well, of course. And then she realizes that he never sent them.
No, and she calls him a freaking coward, and just, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets mad and locks her up, and then goes down to the Pit of Despair, throws the machine all the way up, and tortures
to 50, way up there.
Wesley dies because of this, but you hear this screaming.
Screaming.
And literally everyone hears it. Like, because Fezzik hears it, Buttercup hears it, Inigo hears it, the cows hear it, everybody.
And so they go searching for that because they're like, that must be, the man in black.
Yeah. So they see the albino guy who's, he went to go get the wheelbarrow to take Wesley's body away, but they stop him and ask him, like, where is the man in black? And the guy's like, I don't know. And so Fezzik is supposed to, like, get information out of him, but he doesn't do a great job of getting information out of him because he knocks him out.
So after he knocks him out, Inigo takes out a sword and he does kind of a little prayer calling, Father, you need to help me out.
Yeah. And so his sword leads him to the Pit of Despair. It points him to the tree, and so he goes and the tree hits a specific knot, and then Inigo just leans on it, and it opens the secret passageway into the Pit of Despair.
And that's where they find Wesley.
Yep, but he's dead, so they need a miracle.
Well, then it cuts back to the grandpa and the grandson, and the grandson's like, what?
Yeah.
He's dead? What's going on? Who's supposed to be killing, Humperdinck? And he's all irritated.
He's mad. And then it goes back into the story, and Inigo and Fezzik are taking Wesley to Miracle Max, who used to be the miracle worker for the king, but Prince Humperdinck didn't like him, so he fired him.
Yeah, and it's Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Who's awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. And Carol Kane is his wife. Miracle Max won't let him in. He says he's going to call the Brute Squad, but Fezzik's like, I am the Brute Squad. So, yeah. So Max says that Wesley's mostly dead, which means he can still be revived, but he needs a reason why. And he uses this thing to put some air in him, and then pushes on his stomach, and he says true love.
Because he asked him the question, well, what are you here for? Why are you staying behind?
Yeah. And then that's when Max's wife Valerie comes in and is like messing with him. Because he's trying to say that he didn't hear true love, he heard something else.
To believe.
Yeah.
Which is to bluff.
And so, she's like messing with him and saying, you just don't have any confidence because Prince Humperdinck fired you. You need to help this boy. And so he revives him, or gives him like this little pill thingy. And they cover it in chocolate because it makes the pill go down better. And so they go off to the castle, and they're like up on the paramount things, like the wall. And they give Wesley the pill, even though it hasn't been 15 minutes, like Max said, to wait. And it, like, mostly brings him back, but he doesn't really have any control over anything but his talking.
He's awake, and he's talking, and he can move his thumbs a little bit. His fingers.
Yeah, that's about it. So he can't really walk or anything like that. So they have to figure out how to get into the castle that's guarded by 60 men. And they have to do it in less than half an hour because that's when Buttercup's going to get married.
It's like, okay, it's like we need to go in, rescue Buttercup, and kill Count Rogan.
Yep. So they've got Inigo's sword, Fezzik's drink, and Wesley's brains. Because Wesley can't really move, so they don't have Wesley's brains and strength. So Wesley comes up with a plan
that involves a Holocaust cloak and a wheelbarrow.
Yeah. And so what it is they make Fezzik look like big and scary, like bigger and scarier than he already is being a giant. They make him up, and he like comes up to the gate. I am the dread pirate Roberts. There will be no survivors.
What is that for?
That's him. That's what he says.
That's as low as you can get.
Oh no, I could probably get a little bit lower. But we've been talking too long, so I can't do it today.
Yeah.
So the guards are all like freaking out and running all over the place, but then Inigo sets fire to the cloak.
Yeah.
And then the guards just like book it, and they're gone. Except for one of them. He's like the chief guy, and he has the gate key.
Yeah. And they're like, give us the key. He's like, no.
Yeah, and Fezzik says he's gonna rip his arm off if he doesn't give him the key.
And of course, he gives them the key.
Yeah.
And while that's going on, there's the wedding.
Yeah, the wedding is kind of going on.
That's, oh my god, that.
Yeah, that, priest guy.
Classic.
And Humperdinck's like trying to, he hears the problem outside. Rugen goes out to investigate, and Humperdinck's like hurrying on the ceremony along, skipping to the part where he says man and wife, so that way he can go up and kill Buttercup already.
So they escort her back to the honeymoon suite.
Yeah. And Inigo, Fezzik, and Wesley are in the hall, and they come across some guards and Count Rugen. And Inigo takes on the guards, and Rugen just kind of stands back and doesn't do anything. But then Inigo talks to Count Rugen and says his famous, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die. He says that to him. And Count Rugen, like, thinks about fighting him, and then turns around and runs away.
And then runs away. I'm like, what a chicken.
So Inigo runs off after him, but he comes, like, Count Rugen goes into a room and the door is locked. He locks it, and so Inigo can't get in. So he calls Fezzik over, and Fezzik, like, puts Wesley on this, suit of armor. That's it.
Yeah.
And it goes off and breaks down the door for, Fezzik. Or no, Fezzik breaks down the door for Inigo. And then he comes back, but Wesley's gone.
He's like, where'd he go?
Yeah. And then we see Inigo is chasing Count Rugen through the castle and everything. And so they get into, I guess it's where the dinner was before the wedding. Like the feast.
Yeah, it's going to be a feast.
Before the wedding. They go in there, and Rugen throws a dagger at Inigo, and it hits him in the stomach. And Inigo, like, is dying, but then he gets up the courage, and...
It's like, vengeance is too strong at this point.
Yeah.
He's like, I am not dying.
Keeps saying the line over and over and over, and he, like, starts to fight with Rugen, and...
He cuts him up, too.
And he does the same things that, like, you know, the scars on Inigo's cheeks, he does that to Rugen. And then where Rugen had stabbed him earlier, he does that to him. So everything that he did to Inigo, Rugen did to him. Or he did to Rugen.
Yes. Exact same ones.
And then he kills him.
With another great line, but I'll save that for later. Love that one. Goes to the honeymoon suite where Buttercup has a dagger.
Yeah, she's like preparing to kill herself.
Then there's Wesley laying on the bed right behind her.
Wesley stops her. She like gets super excited and like goes and jumps on him and is super happy to see him and everything. But Prince Humperdinck comes in.
Well, she tells Wesley that she got married, and he's like, no, you didn't.
He's like, did you say I do?
She's like, no, we'll kind of skip that part. He's like, then you're not married.
Then Humperdinck comes in. And he's saying that he's going to fix the fact that they're not really married. Except for he doesn't really want to be married to her anyways. So, but he wants to challenge Wesley to a battle. But Wesley's like, I can't.
He's like, a battle to the death. He's like, no. To the pain.
Yeah.
And just starts talking so much shit. It's great.
Yeah, and then Humperdinck's just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. So he just kind of backs up and sits into a chair, and Buttercup ties him up.
Yeah, because Wesley stands up, because he's like, oh, you don't have the strength. He stands up anyways, holds out the sword. He's like, I got strength. Watch it.
So, Inigo stumbles in as they have him tied up, Prince Humperdinck tied up, and Inigo's like, oh, I'll kill him for you.
He's on a roll, so why not?
Yeah. But Wesley's like, no, he wants him to live and be a coward. And he says he's gonna like cut his arms off and his legs off, but not his ears, so that I can hear how people react to him when he sees them and all that. But he doesn't really do any of that. He just says it. And then they hear Fezzik outside, and they look outside and see that he has 4 white horses. And Buttercup jumps down. Fezzik catches her. Then Inigo and Wesley jump down too. And, well, no, first Inigo is like confused. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life now. And then Wesley's like, well, you know, you'd be a good Dread Pirate Roberts. And then they both jump down. And then they all 4 ride away.
And the white horses. Yeah. And the grandpa closes the book because he says, well, the end part's like just more kissing.
Yeah.
And the grandson's like, well, I kind of want to hear it. So then he tells them about the end.
Just their nice big kiss. And then Grandpa, his book is over, it's the end. Grandpa says for him to go to sleep, but Boy's like, well, you can come back tomorrow and read it again. Then Grandpa says, as you wish.
And then leaves.
Yep.
That's the end.
It's really fast, though. It's like such a fast movie. So, the music, Mark Comfler? I have no idea. He's the composer. He is known for Wag the Dog, which came out in 1997, Local Hero, which came out in 1983, and Kingsman: The Secret Service, which came out in 2014. He just worked on some of the soundtrack for that, so wasn't really composing, but he composed the other ones and the music for this. But I think the music was very well placed and timed and everything. It was a good job.
It's like it wasn't like you didn't question why it was playing at that certain moment, or not like some other movies. But.
Yeah. So the comparison, there is a book, and it's mostly the same. I think, honestly, the only difference is kind of how it begins.
Yeah, the beginning's a little bit different.
Because it kind of begins the same. Like, the guy is a kid, and his dad or grandpa or somebody read it to him when he was sick. But then he gave it to his son when he got older, and his son, like, tried to read it, but he couldn't. And then the dad realized, oh, hey, this is just like an actual history book, and my dad just read me the good parts.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to revise it to be just the good parts. I think that's about the only thing that was left out. I think everything else was pretty much the same.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I can't think of... It's been a while since I read it now, so I can't really think of anything else. I know how many times the 3 repeated lines are said.
Go for it.
So, As You Wish is said 7 times. 4 by Wesley and 3 by Grandpa. Or the other way around. One of those 2. Inconceivable is said 5 times. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die is said 6 times. And that's it. That's the trivia I got. I was curious about how many times those lines were said, so I looked it up.
Okay, so there was a Dread Pirate Roberts, which is Black Bart, which was in the early 18th century. So to help Fezzik the Giant learn his lines, Rob Reiner recorded all of the lines on a tape so he can listen to them.
Oh, that's cool.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What's the other one? I've looked at this trivia I don't know how many times because I love this freaking movie. What's the other one? Iocane powder's not real.
Yeah, I knew
Didn't
that.
know that. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of injuries on this film, too. Most of them by Gary.
Oh, no.
I mean, he got a concussion from Christopher Guest hitting him on the head. And then he got his toe broken, also.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But he loved this movie. So, I mean, he wrote a book about the times that were, like, all the backstory and all the stories on set about the movie.
Oh, okay.
It's called As You Wish. I need to read it. I haven't read it yet.
It's probably good.
It probably is, because, I mean, I know a lot about it, but I'd like to know more.
Yeah.
I mean, there really isn't that much.
Okay. So, where it has been on the list before, in 2010, it was number 187. In 2012, it was number 191. 2014, number 181. 2016, number 207. And then as of today, when we are recording, it is number 215.
So it went down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It's just kind of jumping around, it looks like.
Well, at least it's still staying on the list.
Yeah. So previously number 213, the 2010 list, Fanny and Alexander from 1982. To the 2012 list, Stalker from 1979. The 2014 list, The Terminator from 1984. The 2016 list, Stalker again. And then as of today when we were recording, Bohemian Rhapsody from 2018.
Huh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, so...
When we do our Oscar one, I'll talk about it. Because I've seen it.
Okay.
But yeah, people really like that one, so... So, favorite line you can pick because you love this movie.
There's so many lines. Where do I start?
Oh, I have a good one that I like all the time.
Go for it.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Yes. Classic. There's so many. I love As You Wish. This one, it's one of my favorites. It's funny, on my Facebook memories, I had actually put this as my status one time. This quote. It says, "Death cannot stop true love. It can only delay it for a little while."
Yeah.
Love that line. Life is pain, highness. And anyone who says differently is selling you something.
Yeah.
Classic.
Oh, I have another one that I like a lot. When I was your age, TV or television was called books.
Yeah.
I just like that one. You can pick because you love this movie.
There's just so many lines. Like, again, I could quote this movie all day. And I have. It was one time I was bored and someone and I were just commenting back and forth Princess Bride quotes.
That's funny.
And it lasted for like a good hour. Because I didn't run out of any quotes.
That's really funny.
Again, I just love this movie.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, I have another one. Well, who says life is fair? Where's that written?
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think that's all I've got.
I did like my line from Wesley. My death cannot stop true love. All I can do is delay it for a while. That's my favorite. I'm not going to go with the obvious ones.
Yeah. We'll go with that one. I wrote that one down, so we'll do that one. So, I already know your rating, so I'll go with mine. I'll go with mine first this time. I gave it an 8. I really enjoy this movie. It's just got a little bit too much romance in it.
Of course.
I hate romance so much.
I know.
So, that takes it down a little bit. And then, I watch a lot of adventure and action things and fantasy, so the sword fighting in this is kind of dull to me. Because I see a lot of it, and I see a lot of really good sword fights. So, that's the other thing that kind of takes it down just a little bit. But other than that, it's a great movie.
That was another trivia I forgot about. They did practice with somebody. They actually did get trained on sword fighting.
There's just other stuff that I think has better sword fighting in it, is all.
But then again, you gotta remember that this also came out in the 1980s.
Yeah.
There's that. Me, I give this is my second 10 I've given out.
Yep.
My second 10. The other one was Wizard of Oz. Again, one of my top favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love it. It's silly. It's funny. There's just... I don't think it's too much romance, honestly. I don't think that's the biggest focus of it. But that's me.
It's talking about true love the entire time.
Not exactly. There's more to it than just that.
It's just too much.
But it's a comedy, and that's not your favorite either.
Yeah.
Me, again, I just love it. One of my first, I will admit this, one of my first big childhood crushes was, of course, Wesley.
I can see that.
He's still good looking today. He is. Gorgeous man. Those beautiful eyes. Amazing. Yeah, but I love this movie, so it gets a 10 for me.
So, our next film is Prisoners. That one came out in 2013. That is a Jake Gyllenhaal, Viola Davis.
Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, so that'll be 2 weeks, because next week is when our superhero event will come out. And, so yeah. Look forward to Prisoners. Premium. If you pay for premium, you will get uncut episodes or early release episodes and a special monthly episode for $1 a month. You pay $5 a month, you get all of that, and you get to pick a movie of your choice to join us every 50 movies. So that's a total of 5 movies. We're getting pretty close to that first cutoff of 50 movies. So our next special monthly episode, the one for this month, will be coming out either the same day as this one or the day after, and it's going to be our Oscar predictions episode. And then we are running a contest. So if you leave us a positive written review, you'll be entered into our contest to be randomly selected to join us for a movie of your choice. And you can find us pretty much everywhere. Talk to us. Email, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Check out our website. Make sure you share the show with your friends if they enjoy movies. So if you know they have a favorite movie, you can, unless it's one we don't like, then don't recommend us for a movie they like, but we don't, so that'd be bad.
Like Frozen.
But yeah, yeah. Well, they had to pay for that one if they wanted to listen to it, so. But yeah, if your friends like movies and want to listen to us ramble about some movies, then share it with them.
It's not always rambling.
I kind of ramble sometimes.
Okay, I'll give you that.
When I get lost too, I write things down and then I forget what I was talking about, and so yeah, I get kind of lost. But yeah, so share it with your friends. Our music is by Audio Benger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobenger.net. So until next time, for Prisoners, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.